welcome. We are talking about our very first software asset management process today. We talked about software asset management as a management system in our last video, but this one we're actually talking about a process. And I think this is a really good process to start with. Firstly, because it's effectively the first step of the software lifecycle, but also because it's a classic case of a process where we don't own it.
No, it sits with service management, doesn't it?
It does. And it is the software request process.
So a couple of goals that we need to consider wherever possible. We want to get line management approval in there to the request. We also want to get IT approval in the request.
Technical approval to make sure that we're happy to have this on our in our environment.
Yeah, and finally we want to perform some sort of a license pool check so that we burn down on the software we have in the license pool.
Exactly, yeah. So the key artifacts, I think the key tools that we're going to use again and again and again throughout the software asset management process are appearing in the software request process. And that is the software catalogue, and that is the catalogue that tells us whether software is allowed on our estate, and if it's not, then we need to go and get that approved by technical people, by the architects actually, so own the software catalogue. And then the second artifact that we are effectively leveraging is the license pool, which is the sum total of the licenses we have spare within an organisation. Now, if you're non-compliant, obviously, the license pool is going to be in the red and you have no spare licenses, and in fact, you need to go and do something about that red number. But in many organisations, you do have spare licenses, or you might perform optimisation activities in order to free up some licenses and they become spare. So what you want to do is make sure that in this process, you're checking the licence pool so that you're reusing licenses where possible and saving some money.
And it's worth thinking too about having that value potentially in the supported software catalogue. What is our reorder point?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that can go in the software catalogue, and it also links up in more mature organisations into what I would call the application catalogue, and then also the enterprise technology framework, ETF. I feel like we need a separate session on the software catalogue, don't you?
We could do that if you like.
Yeah. Should we do it after we talked about request fulfilment?
Yeah, we've got the spreadsheet. We can do that
Next month.
Yes.
Okay. So request fulfilment. So the outcome, or what we want from this process, is to make sure that software is only installed on the estate that is approved and that we have bought.
Yes.
And that we want to do this in a timely manner, so we need to get software out as soon as possible.
And scalable as well.
Yes, we need it to be scalable. So what are the challenges around this particular process, Rory?
I think the fact, because it is an ITSM function, it's buried in a lot of ITSM tools.
Yeah.
So those tools then have to work with the SAM suite to dig into the license pool.
Yeah, exactly.
So there is this throughput of data that needs to take place.
Exactly. A lot of organisations, particularly more immature ones, do that as a manual process, don't they? So the software asset manager will this is true. But the software asset manager will actually spend a large proportion of their day receiving request tickets, checking to see whether or not there's a spare licence, and then saying, yes, there is a spare licence, and sending the ticket back to the service desk.
Yeah, not a job for a seasoned vet, is it?
No. Just don't. Try not to. I mean, obviously, you might have to, but your top priority needs to be automate.
Yeah.
Get that element of the process automated. And it may be as simple as just putting the most common pieces of software in a spreadsheet and giving the spreadsheet to the service desk and saying, look, service desk, check the spreadsheet to see if there's spare licenses before you send a ticket to me.
Or even give service management staff access, view only access to the SAM suite.
Exactly. Yep. Or just have automatic data feeds from your SAM suite into your service management tool, so that the service desk just have the information at their fingertips. But you can see that's a progression of maturity.
Yes.
Isn't it?
It's like you read my mind. I was going to say that.
Great minds, Rory. Great minds. So this is one that you really never should finish polishing. And as your service management team introduce new service desk tools and new service desk processes, make sure you are poking your nose in, no matter whether or not they want you to see your nose or not. Poke it in and make sure that you're saying to them, no, we need to automate this process. We need to make this process simpler. We need to free up my time. We need to get the service desk the information they need in order to get the software deployed as soon as possible.
And you know, that's where our cunning plan racer chart kicks in as well, doesn't it? Because if you start swapping out the systems and applications that form part of your SAM solution, you've got a handy column there to say where that is used, as it's currently modelled anyway.
Yes.
So you can, as well as having RACI values for the stakeholders that are involved, there are system and application values under the letter U for used. So yeah, if you swap something out, you can see where it impacts the processes. Really handy.
He's such a techie.
That's not technical, believe me, that
Oh,
spreadsheet
my
is not
goodness.
technical. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. No, you're right, it's not really technical, but it's very geeky, Rory.
Geeky. I'll go with geeky. Yeah.
Anyway, so the request fulfillment process, what is it that we need to do?
So we potentially need management approval. It depends on the title, because we could actually, if we get slick about it, hand off to stuff that is so low risk that if it's Adobe Reader, install it. Yeah, install it. So management approval. We also may want to get quite savvy with the view that's presented to the end users, because we want the end users to see the software they can pick.
Definitely.
And if we can filter based on user profiling, it means then that standard users aren't seeing Oracle Enterprise Edition, because
Exactly.
they shouldn't in theory be sort of...
And the other thing you can do is you can say, rather than I want Adobe Acrobat or I want Photoshop or whatever, you can say, put your users in a position of saying, I want to be able to write to PDF.
Mhm.
I want to be able to edit PDFs.
Mhm.
I want to be able to Photoshop pictures or to, there we go, something, it's like a Hoover, isn't it? I want to be able to manipulate pictures, so that instead of just being given what it is they ask for, they're being given your standard piece of software that's in your catalogue.
Mhm. Top tip.
So it can help with standardisation as well to do it that way, rather than having Adobe Acrobat or Adobe Photoshop as the thing that your end users request.
And we come on to that with the software rationalisation process as well, which is
Yeah.
a few months on.
It is, yeah.
So we've got our catalogue working overtime there, which is absolutely fantastic. We've got a handoff to freebie software. We've got management validation. We want some sort of sanity check from the service desk to see that actually the end user and the manager are not in cahoots trying to request Office 97 or something that's not allowed. So we do another sanity check off the list. Again, automate this wherever possible. We're well within our rights to reject software. If we don't have something on the supported software catalogue that's being requested, we hand off to a process to get it approved. If everything is standard and vanilla in this instance, then we go to a license pool check. And if we do have a license, we can go to an installation. And if we don't have a license, then we can hand off to the procurement process and actually buy the software.
And getting this process right is all about automating whatever you possibly can, and they call it shift left. So shift as much information back to the service desk as you possibly can, so the service desk can just make decisions on the spot without having to pass calls through you.
I was wondering what that meant, shift left.
Yeah.
That's right, it's service management, yeah. Oh, okay.
Do you know what? It's actually this is getting really geeky, and I can be quite political. All right, it's actually the IT equivalent of this European Union subsidiarity principle.
Have we got enough time? I don't know.
So what you're doing, if you really want to know, is what in theory what the European Union does is it makes decisions at the lowest area of governance that's closest to the people. So if it's a really local issue, then it's made locally.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a national issue, the decision is made nationally. And if it's a European-wide decision, the EU makes the decision. Whether they actually apply the subsidiarity principle terribly well is another question, and I'm not going to go there. But if the shift left is basically the same thing, but the server, so you think about the business are right at the left, then you've got the service desk, then you've got like first line support, then you've got sort of second line support, then you've got infrastructure, then you've got all of IT for IT. So you try and shift stuff as much as possible, as close to the business as possible.
Well, every day's a school day, that's fantastic, thank you.
What can I say?
I'm schooled.
Somebody might be useful for someone someday, who knows.
So I think that's it, and I think that's a great joiner to next month's video, which is going to be on the joys and merits of the supported software catalogue. So
Fantastic. All right.
until next month, all the best.
See you later.
Take care.